Hello, everybody. Time once again for another Spartan Sports Report here on TV3. And Sam and I have the athletic director at CHS with us, and one of our favorite guests. And very often, Brent Duncan comes to stop by. Thank you.
Well, I'm happy to be here. I'm fortunately filling in for somebody, but hopefully they'll be here next week. So,
we're going to talk Spartan sports. Is that okay with you?
absolutely, anytime you want to.
Okay, Sam, you want to start with a sectional of some kind?
Well, yeah, we had big victory over the weekend. The boys tennis sectional. We got the hardware. Talk about that a little bit for us.
Well, it was a kind of odd sectional, meaning that Union County didn't have a team, so 3-team tournament. We did not draw the bye, so we drew Rushville on Thursday night, and wasn't sure we were going to get Thursday night in. We got started, and the rains kept coming, and we had to wait for the courts to dry out. And actually, the boys' soccer match with Batesville was over before we got time to get to the end of the tennis, so it was pretty dark. It was pushing 8 o'clock, but ended up beating Rushville 3-2, and then had to turn around and play on Saturday morning at 10 against Franklin County. And we've beaten Franklin County and Rushville both during the season, both 3-2, so they were good matches, and then we ended up beating Franklin County again 3-2. So get to move on. That's the third straight sectional win for Coach Bloom and the kids, and luckily we get to move on tomorrow night at Richmond to play Centerville, which we beat 3-2 in the season. So
I hope that 3-2
continues to stay the 3-2 tomorrow. Yeah. But it's a different day, different team, and you never know what the weather's going to be like. And playing at the Richmond courts, you're on your home tennis court. And, I think Centerville's got, if I remember right, 4 seniors on the team, according to Coach Will Hoyt, and it should be a good match. So it starts at 4:30 over at the courts at Richmond High School tomorrow. Hopefully, and if we get lucky enough to win tomorrow, we'll go back and play the winner of Knightstown and Batesville, and Batesville beat us 3-2 into one of the very first meets of the season. So
it'd be nice to get that one back.
It'd be nice to have an opportunity to play them and maybe steal one back from the Bulldogs. So, but it's a good thing that our kids are there. So, Coach has done a good job in the last 3 years of turning kids around and building the tennis program back up, and hopefully it'll continue down the road.
And there's some kids coming behind these guys too, as well.
Yeah, we still have a lot of sophomore kids that are out there that haven't got on the court yet, and we're going to lose 3 seniors next year. So there won't be a whole lot of spots open, but there'll be a chance to reshuffle the lineup because Jonah's going to move out at number 1, and Seth's moving out at number 2, and Caden, the other one, doesn't play much. But so we got 2 spots going to be open. So somebody's going to fight to be the number 1 singles player and the number 2 singles player this year. That might be some of the doubles kids now, and it may be somebody sitting on the sideline that's coming out that puts time in over the summertime that can improve themselves enough to get out there. So it's a good problem to have.
It's a great thing about high school sports that there's always a progression there.
When you get the college ranks, or you got those 4 years too, and professional you could be there forever, but in high school it's still the 4 years, but it's going to change. It depends on who wants to develop and put the time in, just like any other time. So we'll see how much they want to do over the summertime. So,
and I always talk about it's good that kids remember they only have 4 years of eligibility. Make the best of it.
Well, as I try to tell them, you're making your own memories. You make good ones or you make bad ones. But it's a short-term memory, but it'll be a lifetime of memories. In those 4 short years, you'll think of all the things you wanted to do and should have done and did. But those 4 years will be over in a snap of a finger or a blink of an eye, and then you're like, oh, where'd those 4 years go? And then you're like us, 40 years down the road, and wondering where those 4 years were at.
Exactly.
Just yesterday, I think.
It was.
At least in your brain, right?
Yeah.
Wins Wednesday. The winners happen. What happens to the
tennis?
tennis?
If we get lucky and win on Wednesday, we'll move to the semi-state on Saturday, which I assume will still be at Center Grove, but I haven't peeked that far in advance. But that's typically where the semi-state has for our region. So last year we'd go up there, and it's going to be a little tougher competition if you get up to the semi-state. So, but I'd be happy to be up there again on Saturday to see what happens.
Well, we wish the kids the best of luck and hope things fall right for them.
That'd be great, starting with tomorrow. You never take one day at a time, so we don't want to look to Wednesday until we get past tomorrow. So hopefully it'll be a good thing.
You get to the finals, and the IHSA hands out ribbons. What do they do in tennis?
Same thing. You get team ribbons, and you get your trophy just like they do at the sectional. So everybody got a team trophy yesterday, and then each of the 7 kids got a ribbon. So it'll be the same come up there, and then do something different at the singles because it's individual. So
yes,
it's the week after.
Well, we're real proud of our tennis team at CHS. They've had some fantastic seasons, and we want them to go deep into the tournament.
Yeah, it'd be great to continue on for another week or so.
Well, we wish them good luck. They're they're a very good team, really. Even though
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of knowing where your strengths are and who you're playing against and where their weaknesses are, and make sure you can win the matches you're supposed to win. It's when you don't win those ones you should win, when you end up on the short side of the stick at the end. Because, you know, Jonah played a great match this weekend, but the kid that's a number one at Franklin County is the toughest kid in the conference and has only lost one time all year. So
yes.
Jonah played well, but that was going to be a tough one for us to win. And obviously he didn't win, unfortunately, but we won at 1 doubles and 2 doubles and 3 singles, and those were matches we had to win. Otherwise, we were going to be on the short end of the stick. So hopefully we'll get things squared away for tomorrow night with Centerville and get the ones we know we're going to get and try to battle the ones that are a little tougher. So.
Okay, well, as I said, we wish the Spartans
lots of
good
luck
luck
tomorrow.
in this, right? Yes, it'll be fine to bring a championship home to Connersville.
That'd be all right with me. We got more room on the little table in my office. It's got the War 44 trophy and the tennis sectional trophy. We'll put a few more up there with it. So.
And you'll post the results on school website?
One of us will get those posted. Somebody once they're done. So.
I'm sure there'll be parents as well putting it on social media.
We're trying to get more and more. We've tried to get, and you know, sometimes it's just getting the old guard used to doing some newer things. The younger coaches seem to do a little bit better job at it. So once everything's done tomorrow, something will be posted on the ConnersvilleAthletics.com site, or at least tweet it out if you follow us on Twitter at Seville Spartans. So we do a lot of tweeting. So. Between myself and Mr. Ligon, we do a lot of tweeting. So many people tweet these days.
On the website, it's Connersville Athletics.
ConnersvilleAthletics.com.
Okay, so we're anxious to see what happens, and
I hope our kids are ready. They told me, a couple of them told me today they were anxious for tomorrow. So we hope they're ready by tomorrow.
Let's review the Spartan sports this week. Monday, junior varsity at East Central. That's sort of interesting. This season. Friday night we have the varsity, and then the junior varsity travels to that school or plays that school.
Yeah, typically whoever you play on Friday, you go to the opposite school for the JV game on the next Monday. So
that's interesting. Yeah, how's the JV team doing?
They're getting better. Of course, there's a lot of young kids on there because you know our varsity is pretty young, so our JV's just as young and younger. So we've played well at times, and we've struggled at times. We battled last week against Jennings County pretty good. It ended up being 22-7, but. It was 7-7 early in the fourth quarter, and they punched one in, and then we threw a pick that they ran back. So the score wasn't really indicative of how well the game was played. So.
Well, the kids are learning, and that's the important thing.
I think that's the thing for sometimes at the JV level, everybody gets caught up in wins and losses, and sometimes it's trying to prepare them. Don't get me wrong, we all want to win.
Sure.
But it's getting them ready to play at that next level and giving them opportunities to get reps on the field in game situations instead of just their practice. So
they can play, is it 5 quarters within 7 days in football?
No, they can actually play 6 depending on how many they play. That passed last year. So when we put the mercy rule in with football and the running clock, once you're behind by 35 points in the second half, the clock's going to run. So then they started letting those JV kids get in the third quarter so the varsity kids weren't still out there smashing and running a score up to 82-0 and 75-0. And so if they play in 2 of the varsity quarters, they can still play in 4 JV quarters. But once they play in the third varsity quarter, they're out. So 1 is the most they would be able to play. Sure. Typically, if you play in 3 in the varsity, you probably don't get much in the JV level anyway. So that's been a good thing for our kids. So that it doesn't, and that's what happened so many times in the past. The scores got so lopsided, but the varsity kids couldn't come out until the fourth quarter because they were only allowed 5. So the scores got really, really lopsided.
Sure.
So
the mercy rule, I think it's good.
Yeah, and there's a big difference in physical size so many times in football that just dominates the game.
Absolutely.
And it just gets terrible score-wise. And we've been on the short end of some of those scores before, and there's obviously some schools that scored in the hundreds almost. And one year we had 85 scored against us a few years back, and we won't mention the school, but so hopefully those things don't happen as much or as often. So.
Right. On Tuesday, as we've been talking about, the regional for tennis is at Richmond, 4:30 in the afternoon start, and that continues Wednesday, same time, same place. Volleyball at Rushville, boys soccer sectional begins at Mount Vernon. Spartans meet Shelbyville at 7:30. CHS won during the regular season, 1-0. So that should be
just a little bit about those. Anybody that's planning on attending the soccer sectional, you have to go get your tickets online. And forgive me, I'm going to remember, but I think it's called Ticket Spicket or Spicket Ticket, and it's all digitally done. I did put it out on the website, so you can find it on the website. But you can't get entrance by going there and buying a ticket to the door. That will not happen. They're $6, and you cannot get in until after 7 because our tickets won't be swiped until after 7, and we start at 7:30 tomorrow night. So,
Any reason for that type of procedure on tickets?
oh, I think it's just their way of trying to handle the COVID situation, unless people are exchanging money with people coming in and coming out. And everybody's different. Rushville's going to sell tickets at the gate for the girls.
Yes.
And, so each school's got a little bit different. Some have a little more technology than others, and maybe that's the way to go. It's just, we haven't ventured that way because there's also an additional charge if you buy one, I'm sure, online, because there's going to be a handling fee by the company that's doing it.
Right.
So, and the schools are still going to get their cut of the pay that they're supposed to get, or the IHSA in this case. So we just haven't ventured. But I'm not sure it's so far away for all of us. There's so many people anymore that don't really carry cash on them. And so they all have their debit card, and they all have their cards they want to swipe when you get someplace. So those have been discussions that we've had in our office, but we just haven't quite pulled the trigger yet. Maybe I'm just old school, I don't know.
Well, we're anxious to see the website on the next day to find out.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll have a good turnout, and hopefully
Yes.
we'll get a win. And, it's a hard-fought 1-0, and it was a pretty physical contest at Shelbyville the last time we played them. And I think they actually had 4 or 5 yellow cards, and if you get 2 yellow cards, you get a red card. And so they set some of their kids out the last 15 minutes. So
Yeah, that was-
would we have held on to the 1-0 lead? I think we would have, but you never know what it'll be like when everybody's back at full strength playing on.
That hasn't been too far.
No, just a couple
Well,
weekends
I was
ago.
gonna say, yeah,
So
they're one
not
of the-
this past Saturday, but the Saturday before. So
Near the season, right, for
Yeah.
the boys' soccer. And the girls' soccer sectional, Wednesday, the soccer semifinals, and that'll be, of course, at Mount Vernon. On Thursday, the girls' soccer sectional opens at Rushville. The ladies' Spartans meet Rushville at 5 o'clock. Volleyball at Pendleton Heights at 5:30. On Friday, Spartan football at Lawrenceburg, 7 o'clock kickoff. And on Saturday, cross country will be here, the sectional at Connorsville, 10:30 in the morning. It starts, and I know you're anxiously waiting a long Saturday.
yeah, we're getting things finalized, and our timing people are ready, and all the stuff will be here. But just know on Saturday morning that Spartan Drive from the main entrance towards the administration side will be blocked off because all of our kids will run that direction. They have to cross that road, so kind of the north and the west side of the campus will be blocked off. But come in on the east side by the football field. It does cost $5 to get admission to the sectional. They started charging about 4 years ago. So there'll be people taking tickets somewhere out along Spartan Drive. And I know it's really tough to crowd people, but please try to find the ticket takers so that we can successfully pay off what we have to pay to get the sectional run for all of us. So
How many teams?
13, assuming that all have a boys and a girls team. So if you want to count both, 26. So, but they'll start rolling in about 8:45 in the morning, and we'll run the first race at 10:30.
Now, you always ask me not to ask you any hard questions.
Every question's
I don't
hard,
think this
Sam.
is too hard, but what are the wood stakes east of the drive there, east of the tennis court and the boards and the 2x4? What's that all about?
I believe our Project Lead the Way or industrial tech classes was teaching them how to do surveying.
Okay. I didn't know if that had something to do
Nope,
with
it has to do with class.
putting teams.
They were out there with the little surveyor kits the other day working on how to survey land. So they were
Very
setting
good.
up the boards. So
Has nothing to do with.
nothing to do with
With
cross
this-
country this time.
Okay.
Also on Saturday, volleyball at South Dearborn, that's at 11 a.m. start. Girls soccer sectional finals at 2 at Rushville. And the boys sectional finals at Mount Vernon will be at 7 at night.
Hope we're making 3 trips to Mount Vernon and a couple trips to Rushville this week. So
Busy week in sports.
yeah, it just seems like everything hits you at one time. You're playing is all of a sudden you're in the tournament time and it's all right here on top of you. And it's hard to believe that we're at that point in time of the season already, but won't be long. The volleyball draw came out yesterday and we drew Batesville. We don't have the information on it yet from Lawrenceburg, who's the host. So the 7 teams in the conference minus East Central are all those in the sectional. So we'll find out what day we're playing as soon as Mr. Pearson at Lawrenceburg sends out the information. So I just emailed him and said, I haven't figured you haven't got that out yet already. I'm kind of anxious to see what days we're playing. Soon it's going to be probably Tuesday, Wednesday, and
Yes.
Saturday, but Thursday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday. But until he puts that schedule out there, might even be Monday, Tuesday. I don't know. So we'll wait and see what he puts out there.
Now we need the weatherman to cooperate.
And with soccer, you're going to play, but as long as it's not
Right,
lightning.
but the others.
We get into volleyball, we'll be good. At least we're indoors. So, but hopefully we don't have bad weather. You like for the kids to play in the tournament in good weather where it's not that doesn't come into play. Although you both have to play in it, it still makes it sloppy and messy when you're on a soccer field. So the ball scoots a little bit differently. So
Does the weather affect cross country?
some people it probably will affect, but some people like to run. As Coach Cooley said, he thinks he's a mudder, so he likes to run when it's kind of light, rainy, and cold. So I think it just has a different effect on each kid, sometimes more mentally than anything. But
Sure.
you know, there are some ups and downs on the course, and then there's some spots where it can be slick, so it doesn't take as much to fall down or slip
Right.
and go down. And if you go down, you might get passed by 10 or 15 people and never make those spots back up. So it does come into play a little bit if we get too bad of weather. So.
Yeah. Hopefully. Area football records. Franklin County is 3-0. They won 23-1. They won 24-18 over South Dearborn. They're home Friday with Batesville. Rushville is 0-7. They lost 64-15 to Lawrenceburg. Friday home with South Dearborn. Richmond is 1-5. They lost 77-6 to Lafayette Jeff. Friday home with Anderson. No mercy rule in that ball game.
Could have still been a mercy rule.
They just didn't show any mercy.
The mercy rule just says the clock's got to stay running. It doesn't say how many
That's
times you
true.
get to score.
It can't stop the kids from scoring, but
Nope.
77. That's
Be interesting to know how many of those points came in the first half before the rule went into effect.
yes. Right. Union County is 3-3. They lost 54-12 at Centerville. Home Friday with Monroe Central. Cambridge City is 1-3. They lost 38-0 to Union City. Home with Winchester Friday. Centerville is 6-1. They, we mentioned, beat 54-12 over Union County during the season, and they will be at Union City on Friday. So that's nearing the end of the football season, and we know what happened at Spartan Stadium Friday night. We entertained one of the better teams in this area.
Oh, by far, East Central's a pretty good measuring stick, and you know they got a solid ball club, and you got some Division I recruits on your team, and you're 6'7", 310, and
Yes.
we're 67 inches and not quite 310 pounds in some spots. But I thought our kids competed and played well. And,
They did. Never gave up. They were still fighting toward the end.
you know, we got down 42-7.5, and it stayed 42-7.5, and they
Yes.
didn't really take their starters out early. They did
Yes.
later towards the third quarter, but their second string people are still pretty solid. So, and then when you're playing their second string, and then you're playing our first string, you know, we're sprinkled with some seniors on there as well. But a lot of our kids are underclassmen out there at that time. So, I thought it was a good measuring stick. I didn't see any quit in our kids, and they fought all the way to the end. And still picking up fumbles, and we blocked a punt, and ran a kickoff back, and unfortunately ran the next one back right after we ran ours back.
Right.
But a lot of positives out there right now, so hopefully we'll get through had a couple injuries with Raiden P. kind of tweaked his knee and his ankle, and then Chance Bentley kind of tweaked his knee, but trainer thought both of them could probably be ready by Friday.
Well, that's
We'll
good. That's
Evaluate
good
again
news,
today
yeah.
and tomorrow, and we'll see where we're at. So.
Well, they have 141 kids on their roster, and a fellow told me, well, we don't take the freshmen out of town, but they still had a bunch, 3 busloads of.
Oh, there wasn't a number that wasn't on the program. So if you can start at 1 and get to 99, they were filled. So, and some of them were duplicated. But,
Yes, several were duplicated, yes.
They had enough kids there to fill the spots. You know, that's kind of been their bread and butter, football, for an extended period of
Well,
time.
I was speaking to a fellow from East Central, and we talked about the dominant sports, and it is football at East Central. And it's that Ohio influence, I think, maybe that.
There's a lot of that. My guess is there are a lot of people that work in the city of Cincinnati that live out in the Hidden Valley Lake area and in that direction towards Indiana
the
to get
kids are there.
outside the state line.
I got
Kids
in
are
trouble
going
for
there.
talking about that on the radio one time from some East Central fans.
You,
I'm just speculating.
but
That's
it's
my
true.
thought. That's,
I think you're right. They have to work somewhere, and that's the.
I think this is similar with New Pal. There's a lot of people live in New Pal. You know, there's not a lot of New Pal that live and work in the metropolitan area of Indianapolis and live out in the suburbs. And Avon's similar, and Danville now is getting bigger because Indianapolis is spreading more and more. And,
Mount Vernon's that way.
well, you go back and think, my brother-in-law's played at Hagerstown. If I remember right, Whiteland was a single A school that was one of their sectional championships, and New Pal was a single A school that was one of their sectional champions of the 10 that they've won. And Hagerstown's not gotten any bigger or smaller since then. And think how big Whiteland and New Pal are today.
Right.
And, things have just grown and changed in that area. So.
well, TV3 was at the game on Friday night. Let's look at some of the highlights.
don't see anything on the screen. Mr. Harvey's trying to get the monitor to work. Looks like a very equal contest at this time.
Yeah, it does. It looks, yeah, it's 0-0, I think.
That was right after
That run back, yeah, that was great. But
Yes, it was.
Unfortunately, we didn't get him stopped on the next possession. Well, it looks like they left their lane right there.
Yeah, as you pointed out, they're pretty solid, pretty deep every place.
Well, as the guy in the box said, that their two best players are their two middle linebackers, and when your two best players are your linebackers, you clean up a lot of mess if there's anything to be messy.
And they pass very seldom. They're not a passing team, are they?
No, not typically. The quarterback and 17 are brothers, and the quarterback was a junior, and 17's a freshman, and ran the ball well for a freshman kid. You know, when you got that many kids, it helps you at practice because you got a chance to compete with each other on a daily basis. And you know your job's not safe if you're not doing your job. There's somebody right behind you that's willing to take your position. And that's what depth will help you with. So
Yeah, have somebody looking
we're
over
hoping
your
that,
shoulder all
you
the
know,
time.
things will get better for us, and we have some competition at some depth, you know, spots, and then that will make you better based on how kids have to compete at practice in order to secure a position. So
their equipment budget has to be huge. That many kids.
oh, easily a helmet's about $300 in case people didn't know it, and shoulder pads are about 180, and girdles are close to 100, or you know, everything you got to have. So it was senior night, so we recognized the senior football players before the game, and then we got the cheerleaders and the Spartanettes and our band and color guard seniors there at halftime.
Nice crowd.
It was good. It was good to have a kind of an open, back to somewhat normal with a
Yes.
anybody wanted to come could come, and as long as you have your face mask on, and we'll see where that goes as fall winds down and winter talks, and see what happens when we get into our indoor facilities in the wintertime. I had emailed the health department today and talked to them a little bit. They said they're formulating a plan, and I said, good, let me know what your plan is when we're ready, and we'll discuss it. So together we'll come up with some solution. I don't know what that solution is going to be, and that's going to depend on how the virus continues. And you know, if we go to a red or orange, then there's a lot of changes that's got to be made. If we stay blue, there's probably a little bit more freedom. So, and that depends on how people help out and
Wash their hands and
cover
wear
up
their
when
masks.
they're in the public, and that's going to allow us to have a lot more opportunities to have the facilities open at full capacity. And it's going to be different when people are inside sitting on top of each other. And we know how sports are here. Basketball has been strong for a long time, and lots of people follow it. And you know, it'd be hard to say we're going to have to possibly limit, but that's a possibility. So then it's like, who gets in which game? And I want game A, and you want game B, and we all want the Union County game, we all want the Richmond game, we all want the Newcastle, Franklin County game, and Rushville game. So then it's like, who goes and who doesn't go. So those are bridges we'll cross if we have to get there.
I don't think we want to change places with you when it comes to
You can
that.
come in and help. We'll take the help. But
We'll
you know, that's
protect
part
you.
of it, and it's just unfortunate where we're at in that situation. You know, we don't have any control, and it is what it is, and we'll do the best we can to get accommodate as many people as we can. So
Does the health board have the final say on?
I think they got to have an approval about
Yes.
what we want to do, and so we stay in constant contact with those people to make sure we're trending in the right direction and doing things the way they think it needs to be done. So
And they live here. They understand.
yes, they do.
understand the community.
Some
and
of them have played and been a part of it, and not just, you know, everybody thinks everything here is about basketball, and it really is, and we try to think of every sport that's out there, you know, and just trying to do the best we can. We were able to open up the volleyball this weekend for our middle school girls to have a full complement. If we could get everybody in the stadium, we didn't have to because they didn't sell out the middle school volleyball invite, but it was nice to know that you didn't have to worry about how many people were coming in the door unless we just ran out of seats. So those are things that are good. That way, you know, you saw people in the stands Friday night that hadn't been able to be in there, so it was good to talk to those
Sure,
people
it was.
because they're just avid fans that want to come and watch our kids and be a part of it. And it was great to have those people back in the stadium on Friday night.
It was. We'd talked a little bit previously about East Central in the past. I thought they'd bring a bigger crowd, but in the past they haven't. But I was telling Dave on air, if we were ranked 4th in 4A and had the team like they had, and we were on the road, then our side of the stands would have been full. That's
Yeah, I think we travel well. I mean,
and
I agree.
in most any sport. And the football team, during the football games in years past, even when we hadn't won a game, we still had big crowds on our side.
yeah, I think our fans
at
support
home.
our kids really well,
So,
and
yeah.
I think they understand what high school sports is about. And they're there to cheer on their kids, and that's what you hope. You know, you always want them to cheer on your kids and root for a good game, and not yell and scream and holler at officials and people, and realize it's about the kids on the field, and they're trying to do their best along with the coaches to put winning products and a good product out on the field that shows sportsmanship all the way through. So,
Exactly.
but I think for the most part we do that.
Thursday's a football draw
Yep.
at night.
Yes, I want to say it said 6. I looked at it. No, I'm sorry, it said 8.
Okay.
This Thursday.
Yeah, it was kind of odd because typically it's on a Sunday.
Right.
So,
So-
they're doing this Thursday at 8 o'clock. So,
And the teams are in the sectional are Greenfield, Mount Vernon, Muncie Central, Newcastle, Pendleton Heights, Richmond, Shelbyville. Spartans have not played any of those teams during the regular season.
that could be good and that could be bad. So, but it's not bad because nobody knows each other and it's a good opportunity.
Sectional dates are the 23rd and 30th, and the first Friday in November.
Correct, since it'll be a
And
3-weekend
the
process.
drawing will be made as the second team out as the home team?
Yes.
Okay.
So it
I
just
don't
goes
know
right
if they
down the
changed that or
top.
not.
So there's 7 teams. So 1's the visitor, 2's the home, 3's the visitor, 4's home, 5's the visitor, 6's home, and 7th gets the bye. So it'd always be nice to have the bye.
Yes.
We don't seem to ever get the bye, but it'd always be nice to have the bye. Girls got a decent draw in volleyball. I mean, in soccer, because they get to play one game, and if they win, they're in the final. So that's a good draw for the girls in soccer at Rushville. So, but it seems like we don't ever get the bye. And last 8 years, we've drawn a home game. So we'll
Maybe
see
this
if our
will
luck
be the year,
continues out.
but as you say, we have a string of being the second team out and the home team for the opening.
We've been one of the
section.
even numbers out there, that's for sure, whether it's the 2nd, 4th, or 6th. But we've been one of them even numbers for the last 8 years.
If you get the bye, the game you play, is that on the road then?
Well, that depends.
Yeah, I know.
That depends
It's a
on where
strange
it's-
formula.
If the team in the bracket below played on the road, then it's the bottom team in the bracket. If the team wins at the bottom of you was home the weekend before, then we would host.
Okay.
If you've both hosted, then it goes to the bottom of the bracket.
Bottom, yeah.
If you've both not hosted, it goes to the bottom. If one of you've hosted and one of you haven't, the one who hasn't hosted gets to host. So
The executive committee in on this, or who made?
that's along with the IFCA, the Football Coaches Association. That's kind
Okay.
of the formula that we have. So.
Yeah. If you change your mind and run a re-election to be on the board of trustees for the.
Well, I
Right.
would, but since we're no longer a 4A school, my seat won't be open, so, for me, because we're 3A, and I can't run for the 4A seat since the 4A, we're not in that school, so. It's been a good experience so far.
Well, that's too
so.
bad. I mean, I know
Yeah.
you've enjoyed it and everything, and
I think you learn a lot. I think there's a lot of things I didn't know on the backside,
Yes.
just like in any job, but I think there's a lot of people have a misconception of what the IHSA is about, and you try to debunk some of those, so. It's a great group of people that have nothing but the best interests of kids in heart,
I
and
know
try to
you-
do something fair for every kid in the state, not just a single kid or a school or whatever. So they operate for all 410 schools, so
you consider an honor to be on the board, and
very much so. I mean, it's elected in, and you got to run, and people vote you in, and it's been a great opportunity for me.
thanks, Brent. Good luck this week at CHS and all the sports activities.
Thanks, Fran. We appreciate it.
Good night, everybody, and thanks for joining us here on TV3's Spartan Sports Report.